Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. We've got a packed show today with Drew Brees and Patrick Peterson joining the Super Bowl discussion. Plus, Mike Martz is on set to break down the odds the Eagles pull off an upset against the Pats. And is Tom Brady the most clutch athlete of all time? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. We're just 2 days away from the Super Bowl. The Patriots are 4-point favorites heading into Sunday's game against the Eagles. New England also got some good news yesterday. Rob Gronkowski cleared concussion protocol and said he's, quote, ready to roll. The Patriots are looking for their 6th title in the last 17 years. So, Shannon, it's that time. Give me your official Super Bowl prediction.
I've gone back and forth with this so many times. I think top to bottom, the Eagles have the better football team. But at the two most important positions, head coach and quarterback, it's not even close. I always felt that Gronk was going to play, and then they got the good news yesterday that he had cleared concussion protocol and he was going to be able to play. And Coach Belichick having 2 weeks. Skip, we're going to talk about the 30 for 30 documentary last night, Bill versus Bill. And some of the game plans that he came up with only a week to prepare, really not even a week, because back then you flew directly from the championship game straight to the Super Bowl destination. So there's no week in between or the extra prep days. He'll have a game plan that's catered not to what the Eagles do really well. What does Nick Foles do really well? How do we take advantage of him? And that's what Coach Belichick, and listening to the documentary throughout and how everything is just so specific. They called him Doom. I can see why. Skip, I expect a slow start because I think in these games like this, everybody wants to feel it out. You script your first 15, first 20 plays. You don't do anything crazy. So no double reverses, no flea flickers. Doubt you're going to get bomb blitz from a defensive perspective where they bring everybody and vacate the middle of the field. I don't think you will see that. But Tom Brady has more Super Bowl games than every other player on the Eagles roster combined. Considering they were just at this game last year, that's a wealth of experience. Again, Gronk's coming back. I think they win on a late field goal. Eagles have the lead late. Brady drives them in field goal range. Steven Gostkowski kicks a 42-yard field goal, 27-26 Pats.
27-26, wow. This is really tearing you apart. I've never seen such anguish across the table. You were weighing it as you were speaking it, man. You almost went the other way.
I almost did, Skip. And I was talking to Healy last night. I said, right now, I'm leaning Pats.
By the way, Healy is our producer. Chris Healy, yes.
I said, I'm leaning Pats, but let me sleep on it.
Yeah.
Because, man, and then you see Coach Belichick at the game last night. Coach Belichick doesn't normally venture out like this. So he feels really, he knows something that we don't know.
I agree. I was shocked. And it looked like he vacated at halftime or thereof because they showed an empty seat in the second half. But that was a little brazen, maybe.
So what's he saying, Skip?
I don't know. Do you think he's got this one in the bag?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I believe this is tearing you apart, Shannon Sharpe, Hall of Famer. By the way, we're going to talk about who gets in the Hall of Fame coming up pretty soon on the show. This is tearing you apart because you can't stand to think of Tom Brady winning a 6th Super Bowl and you having to come in here on Monday and give him credit, give him his due, to put him on an even loftier pedestal than he now resides upon. That's number one.
It's just sprinkles now. It's just like you got a big old cake. You just adding sprinkles. Stuff don't even need to be on the cake. You got sprinkles, and you got cookies, and you got Butterfingers and Reese's Pieces. All that's not unnecessary, Skip.
But if Nick Foles manages to pull off an Eli and beat Tom Brady, all of a sudden, your man Carson Wentz has got a big problem. He's got a problem called Philadelphia.
Right? A part of you wants that to happen. A part of you want dysfunction.
That would be fascinating to watch next year, wouldn't it? And I do think he would be in some trouble. I think that would be a hard call.
That ain't no hard call.
It's going to be a hard call. So I am with you on your first salvo, your opening sentence. You've wrestled with it. I have too. I picked New England before the season started, but I must admit, the harder as I looked at this game last night, that's why I said I'm so fascinated and intrigued by the matchup. Harder I looked at this game, the more I liked and feared Philadelphia. Because the Eagles, as you said, have a better overall football team than New England does. And let's start with the running game, shall we? Because New England against Saxonville had no running game. They won an AFC championship game, albeit at home, with 46 total rushing yards. When has that ever happened? And by the way, they had 28 total rushing yards until the last real play of the game when Deion Lewis got loose around the end for 18 yards to kill the clock and ice the game, right? So at that point, they had 28 rush yards. They also had Tom Brady, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But the Eagles can flat out run the ball thanks in large part to your ex-Miami Dolphin, Jay Ajayi. So let's go to the receivers. Come on, it's hands down Philly's receivers to me because Alshon and Aguilar and Torrey Smith, and then Zach Ertz. People are underestimating Zach Ertz. He is going to be a big problem for the New England defense. He led this team in catches and receiving yards, and he'll probably lead it in catches and receiving yards Sunday. So that's advantage Philly. And then better offensive line. How many times did you come in this year and say, Brady's getting hit more than he did last year? That's going to be a problem. That could take a year or two off his life. Did you not say that again?
They did, but Skip, if you noticed about the Patriots, even in the first half, Jacksonville got to him some. Tennessee put some pressure on him in the first half. But what makes them so dangerous and what makes them so great is their ability to adjust. And Coach Belichick, he always says, I want talented guys, but I want smart guys. Because the adjustments that you're making, Skip, you're not going to get an opportunity to go out there and practice it. It's got to be visualization, and you got to be able to draw it up on the chalkboard and ask your guys to go implement this the second half of the ball.
I still say Philly's line, even without that great left tackle, Jason Peters of theirs, I still say it's a better overall pass and run blocking line than Belichick.
Yeah, because they got Lane Johnson, who's an all-pro. They got a left guard that went to the Pro Bowl. Their center's all-pro.
So what sticks in my craw is that I keep seeing the flashes of the touchdown passes in my head. This team, albeit at home, destroyed the Minnesota Vikings 38-7 in the NFC Championship game. And Nick Foles, once again, in his third playoff game, looked a whole lot like Tom Brady to me. I'm serious. Well, what's not to like? Against the #1 ranked defense in football this year, the Minnesota Vikings, he went in the championship game 26 of 33 for 352, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions with the QBR scale 0 to 100 of 94. That's a big-time game against a big-time defense, right?
In the playoffs, that's an unbelievable.
So in 3 playoff games, Nick Foles has completed 73 of 96. Think about that. 73 of 96 completions. That's 75%. And he should have won all 3 of his playoff starts because he played plenty well enough to win the first one against Drew Brees after the 2013 season. And they let a kick get run back to the 50. There was a horse collar, and then there was a late walk-off field goal by Drew Brees and company. But Nick Foles played very well. So in the 3 postseason games, he's got 5 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Career, he's got 66 touchdown passes to only 29 interceptions. Doesn't that sound pretty good to you?
Very good.
Nick Foles will not choke in this game. He will not turn into Nick Folds with a D on it because he's been here and done this before, and I just like his poise. I just think this moment won't be too big for him. So I expect him to play pretty well. Maybe not great, but pretty well. Now let's get to the other side of the ball because that's what really scares me because the Eagles' defense is much better than the Patriots' defense. I'm sorry, it just is. I know the Patriots finally got in sync and in gear, and they were bending, but not breaking later in the year. But this pass rush featuring a Fletcher Cox, who is a monster in the middle, is exactly what the doctor ordered to beat Tom Brady. How many times have we talked about it? Why did Brady lose at Denver in the AFC Championship game? Why did he lose to the Giants twice, especially the first time to the Giants? It's because they could collapse the pocket and knock him off his spot, get him to move, get him shook up, and knock him around. Well, that's the same formula for any quarterback, but Tom Brady is human, and he will fold under that kind of fire if you just keep after him the whole game, right? So, Brandon Graham, we had Keenan Allen. Oh, you weren't here that day, Joy. Sat in your chair. He didn't look a lot like you, but he
did a great job.
What he did, and what did he bring to this table?
He's a game changer.
He said Brandon Graham is a game changer. Well, I don't ever think about that, but he said he's a game changer. He's a difference maker. And I'm like, wow, Brandon Graham. Now, look, he's got 9.5 sacks. Didn't make the Pro Bowl, but sounds like Keenan Allen thinks he should have been at the Pro Bowl. So they have a hellacious pass rush with Jim Schwartz's wide 9. That brings me to the Pro Football Focus that we did with the scouts, breaking down the talent, ranking the 106 players in this year's Super Bowl. And 14 of the top 20 were Eagles, and 10 of those 14 were on defense. And the shock of shocks to me was that the slot corner for the Philadelphia Eagles named Patrick Robinson, who caught my eye just because he picked six Case Keenum the other day, he's ranked 6th on that list of 106 players by Pro Football Focus. 6th, he's the slot corner. He hasn't started any of the playoff games, but he's had a big impact on them. And guess what? Danny Amendola, meet Patrick Robinson. That's what I'm going to assume, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Wouldn't he be all over him?
Yes.
And Patrick Robinson has bounced around this league. He was a late first-round draft pick of the Saints, and he's bounced around. This is like his 4th team. But Pro Football Focus says he's had a sensational year and ranks him 6th. Okay, well, that's big advantage Philadelphia because Danny Amendola is the wavelength. He's the connection for Tom Brady, right? That's the report. Okay, he's filling in. And not to mention kicking game. The Pro Football Focus, 106 players ranked. The long snapper for the Patriots was 106th and is a liability, and the punter is 104th, Ryan Allen, and I guess that would qualify as kind of a liability. And Gostkowski has not had a very good year, and he ranked 99th. So wouldn't that be advantage Eagles? Okay. So now we get to intangibles. I was going to bring up the Belichick. It scared me a little bit that he actually felt confident enough or brazen enough to show up at a basketball game on the Thursday night ahead of the Super Bowl. I don't know, but is it in the bag? Is it like, you don't think the Eagles are going to have that brought up in their meeting?
I'm surely he's feeling comfortable because it's hard for me to believe that the Thursday night before a regular season game, Coach Belichick would have shown up even if the game is at home at a Celtics game. Now, he maybe, but I don't believe that. But clearly, Skip, he feels comfortable. He feels his team is prepared. He feels his team will be ready to go play and implement the game plan on both sides of the football to give them the best chance of winning.
Okay. So, obviously, we've gone back and forth all week about Tom versus Time. Tom Brady's, as you call it, I Am the Greatest documentary, correct?
Yep.
And he dropped it on Super Bowl week. Yesterday, episode 4 dropped. And it scares me a little bit. You want to talk about brazen, you want to talk about arrogant, here I am, this is how I do it, come and get me, right? Isn't that what he's announcing to the Philadelphia Eagles? And what really scared me was episode 3, in which he talked about his durability because of his new training methods. Alex Guerrero, pliability, has made him even more durable at age 40 than he ever was in his career. That's tempting fate, man. This is a dangerous game. I don't love it. I'm knocking on hard. Knocking hard. But I didn't love that. And then I read last night that no quarterback who led the league in passing yards has ever won a Super Bowl. And Tom Brady led the league in passing yards in 2007, and Eli and Tyree happened, right?
Yep.
So is that a little scary to me? Yeah, it is a little scary to me. And then you've got the Eagles. They're the underdogs, and they love it. So they're feeding on that. And now it looks like a Patriot staffer was photographed yesterday carrying what looked like a script for Tom Brady's acceptance speech for MVP. And I'm not going to be shocked if he wins MVP. But the Eagles are going to be like, oh. So it's almost like the Heisman winner has to go play a bowl game now, right? What happened to Matt Ryan last year? He won the MVP on Saturday night, and he kind of stunk it up on Sunday, wouldn't you say?
No, Skip, he played really well.
I didn't think he played that well.
Skip, he only missed 6 throws.
Okay, but again, when the money was on the table, the other quarterback played far better.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, he had the game won. They had an 8-point lead. He throws a 22-yard completion. If you don't get another yard, you guys are going to try to come out on the field and kick a 42-yard field goal to put you up 11 and basically ice the ball game. He made a mistake. He knows he can't take a sack in that situation, Skip. You can't. You just can't.
Okay. So, all of that said, motivation on Eagles' side, maybe not strategy, but just X's and O's, the talent, it's all on Eagles' side. I wrestled. I slept on it. I woke up, and I still come down to this. I'm going to say it one more time. There's one man in sports I don't bet against, and it's number 12 for the New England Patriots. And all I know is that in 5 Super Bowls that he has won, he has conducted game-winning drives in all 5 of them in the fourth quarter. game-winning drives. So wouldn't history scream at you that this game sets up perfectly for here we go again?
Yeah.
Because Tom Brady has won his 5 Super Bowls by total points of 3, 3, 3, 4, and then 6 in overtime last year. And in the 2 that he lost by 3 and 4. Okay? So wouldn't you think this is going to just go to the wire in every game? Nail biter, barn burner, down to the wire, right?
Basically, all the games that they've played in is about 5 points differential, and all the rest of the game, Super Bowl games, is like 16. I'm talking about if you look at the games the Patriots were involved in.
Okay, but the Patriots wins, they've won by an average of 3.7 points, and all the other Super Bowls are 15, almost 16.
Almost 16, correct.
That's shocking to me.
It's unbelievable.
Okay, so I'm going to go with history, but I'm going to go lower scoring because I think this is going to be yet another grind for Tom Brady's offense. I think it's a really good defense playing at an extremely high level under Jim Schwartz. So I'm going much lower scoring than I see other people pick. I'm going to go Tom Brady 20 to Eagles 17, 20-17, which would be reminiscent of the first Super Bowl that Tom Brady won as a quote-unquote game manager. And it may feel like he's having to manage this game because I don't think it's going to be a lot of pitch and catch going on here.
Well, if it's a situation, if you're the New England Patriots and you need to win the game, you feel very comfortable if 12 is on the field. If you're the Eagles, if you need to win the game, you feel very comfortable if your defense is on the field.
I would agree with that.
So,
but I wouldn't feel uncomfortable with Nick Foles on the field. I just wouldn't feel like he's going to overcome Tom Brady.
Well, since this is since Carson has gone down, Wentz has gone down, they relied a lot more heavily on their defense, and their defense played well because Atlanta had 4 cracks goal to go. And they kept them out of the end zone.
They really did.
They gave up 7 points on the opening drive to Minnesota and nothing else the rest of the ball game.
Nothing else.
So we know what they represent. They can get after your quarterback. They don't allow you to run the football, which makes you one-dimensional. They make you throw the football when they want you to throw it. Now we can gear up because we know what you're going to do. We know what you have to do. So with that being said, Skip, it's just hard to bet against Tom Brady and Coach Belichick in these situations because far too many times we've seen them be successful when they're not coming. 10 points to the Legion of Boom. Oh, we got 28 points with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Like, oh yeah, you got this. And then all of a sudden, Tom is like boom, boom, boom. The defense raised their level of play. They bow their backs. It's like, nope, nothing else. Get off the field. Tom is feeling it now. We need to get him right back on the field as soon as possible. He's in that rhythm. I'm going 27-26. I just think the Patriots do enough to win this ball game. Saying do it enough. I mean, and this ball game is the Super Bowl. But it's just hard to bet against Tom Brady and that monster, 6'7", 280 pounds. He's the most dominant player. That's not a quarterback that's on the field, regardless of offense or defense, regardless of position.
And I'm going to say this one more time. I am convinced they're even better, a little better without Gronkowski.
Skip, I can kill a bear with my bare hands, but I'd much rather have a gun from a distance.
Can you?
Yeah, I kill. I mean, I told my friends, if you see me and a bear in a fight, Joy, don't help me. I want you to pour honey on me and help the bear. It's illegal to kill a bear.
Oh.
So
but in self-defense.
No, that's what I want the honey on me for. Because if I don't got no honey on me, they say it wasn't no self-defense. See, the honey, he attacked me, Joy. I want a honey suit, and I want him to stay there. Because I'm going to do something bad to that bear.
Well, Brady kills his bears with paper cuts. That's what he does.
And then, George, by the time, 20 years from now, George, the story will be in Super Bowl 52, Tom Brady played that game with one hand behind his back. Or whether he lost his thumb before the game.
Joy Taylor, did I bring up his lacerated hand? Who brought it up, Joy? I want to know, for the record, who brought that up?
Shannon has a tendency to bring that up, and then he works the Cowboys into every discussion somehow.
Oh, it'll be this hand. Tom Brady played one hand behind his back. Oh, he was perfect.
Really?
Did you see that last drive? He's a bing, bing, bing.
Well,
you're picking him, though.
So I want to know, bottom line, how hard is it going to be for Shannon Sharp to come back in here on Monday and sit in that chair one more time and acknowledge that Tom Brady is even greater than you ever thought that he was?
Skip, if I'm the first man on the moon, what else can I visit? Do I need to go to Pluto? to let you know that I'm great? Do I need to go to Mars or where else do I need to go, Skip?
Tom Brady has discovered civilization in another galaxy.
No, he
That's
didn't.
where he is. He's gone somewhere else.
No.
You know?
Skip, he's great. He's all-time great.
Thank
He's
you. Keep going.
He's transcended like my guy up in Green Bay.
No, not like your guy. He's way beyond
He's
your guy.
transcended like my guy in Green Bay.
Yeah.
It sounds like you just learned your lesson from last year.
I think you're eating some humble pie right now.
No. I mean, I really thought Atlanta had this game, and when they got out to that big lead, I was like, okay, just keep playing. But I'm a firm believer. It's a lot easier to come from behind and win as opposed to being ahead by a large margin because, Skip, you don't want to do anything crazy. You do get somewhat conservative because if you let them come back because you throw, it's like, well, why were you throwing? Well, that's what we did. In Atlanta's offense, they threw a lot. Now, I thought, you can't have the same amount of rushes in the second half up by 25 as the team down by 25 had. But
you got to let go of
no. Mr. Blank, who we gonna talk about, he needs to
let
it go.
go.
I let it go once I left the stadium and it was like 34-28. I'm like,
it's going to be interesting. It's not quite the David and Goliath matchup that everybody feels like it is, though.
I'm
when
not
you really
sure
look at the
which one.
Eagles,
I think Goliath is the Eagles. That's what I think.
they don't want to hear that. They want the underdog story.
It's not the 20. It's not 2007. The Patriots and you like Giants.
Yeah.
No
mercy. Hey guys, Joy Taylor here with a quick word from Pro Flowers and Sherry's Berries. With Valentine's Day right around the corner, the last thing you want to do is pick the wrong gift. Making a big impression is key. Pro Flowers and Sherry's Berries have teamed up to help you really impress your Valentine this year with their perfectly paired collection. Go ahead and think inside the box this Valentine's Day. This really is a one-of-a-kind gift. Your flowers and dipped strawberries will arrive together in a beautiful, specially designed box that will keep your flowers fresh and your berries cold, guaranteed. Right now, Undisputed listeners can save 20% on any one of their perfectly paired combinations or any gift over $29 with promo code UNDISPUTED. And take it from me, these flowers are gorgeous and the dipped strawberries can't be beat. Pick the delivery date and it's guaranteed, and customer satisfaction is always number one or your money back. There's only one way to get 20% off a perfectly paired gift over $29 featuring beautiful blooms from Pro Flowers and freshly dipped strawberries from Sherry's Berries. Visit proflowers.com today and enter code UNDISPUTED at checkout. That's proflowers.com, code UNDISPUTED, and you'll get 20% off this perfectly paired gift. Now let's get back to the show. No mercy. We're joined now by a man that coached against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in a Super Bowl, former Rams head coach, Mike Martz. Welcome to Undisputed.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
You launched the dynasty. You realize that.
So who wins on Sunday?
Well, I think originally, before they said Gronk was coming back, I'd have said the Eagles. I think this is probably the worst in talent that the Patriots have ever gone into Super Bowl. Their roster is probably the least talented of all the Super Bowls. That being said, the defense with the Eagles is really strong and dynamic. I think Foles, obviously, the 122 rating, has played really well in the playoffs, handles pressure. So I really felt good that the Eagles would probably win this thing, but maybe by 3, 7 points or whatever. With Gronk, I think it changes completely. They're a totally different team when he's in the picture. They can't, you have to commit 2 people to him in the passing game. You watch DBs trying to cover him and linebackers draped all over him, and they're great athletes and they're faster. They can do all those things, but they cannot go up and get the ball away from him. I think you have to play him over the top and come down on him in the passing game and commit somebody to him underneath as well. That means you're committing 2 guys, and obviously that position is a strong safety position, which means now that the Patriots will run the ball very effectively because their run force has been inhibited because of the Gronk factor, so to speak. But they're a completely different team when he's healthy.
Go ahead, Skip. I ain't got nothing to say because I've been trying to tell you that for like the last two
So,
years.
Coach, what does it say to you that they managed to win the Super Bowl last year without Rob Gronkowski for the last 8 games?
Yeah, I think if they played the same team every Super Bowl, I think that'd be good. But they're not. They're playing an Eagles team on defense that's pretty dynamic. They're pretty darn good.
Okay, and what does it say to you that they lost Gronk late in the first half of the AFC Championship game and Brady was much better the second half than he was the first half?
Well, I think that's all good, but again, you're talking about a different team.
Yeah.
They're not playing the Eagles. The Eagles are different, and I think they're so strong on defense. I like the matchup and how they morph in and out of things. I think that it's just a total. When you have a different team, you can't compare. You can't say, oh, we played Team A, and because we did this, we didn't have him, and then you got Team B. They're two different teams completely, and they create different problems. Now, that being said, nobody's better than the Patriots than covering for a weakness or taking advantage of your strength or weaknesses. And the first thing that Belichick will do is whatever you do well, he's going to eliminate that. He's going to try and take that away from you. But the Achilles heel for them right now, to me, is their defense. You know, early they weren't very good at all, and they've done a great job of coaching them and getting them at a certain level. But offensively, they've covered for that to some extent too. So I think they're in a bit of a jam in that respect defensively. But when Gronk comes back now, I think they play from a lead in this game.
When I look at the Patriots and we talk about their defense, they don't give up points. You might get a lot of yards. You might run the football for over 100. Your quarterback might throw for 300. But what they do, they force you to settle for field goals. They keep you out of the end zone. So, therefore, they keep themselves close enough that they can remain in contact. So when they get in their run, because, you know, in the Super Bowl, Mike, you know you're going to go on two momentum. They're going to be momentum swings.
Right.
How much distance or separation have you put between yourself and the team that you play?
I think you have to be careful of that, too, because I think teams that play the Patriots play keep away. And so they grind the clock and try to get first down. So you're not going to score points like that.
Right.
They don't want Brady and that group on the field.
Right.
And that happened to us. So we would win games against teams that normally score a lot of points, wouldn't score a lot of points because they tried to play keep away.
Right.
And it doesn't work.
Right.
So I hope you're right about playing from a lead with Gronkowski. I agree with you on the Philly part of this equation. I picked New England before the season started, and the harder I look at this on paper, just on paper, the more I fear Philly. This is a better overall football team than New England has.
Oh, I agree.
All facets.
I agree
all
with that.
facets, except for quarterback, and you could argue head coach. But what concerns me about Brady with Gronk is he does tend, to me, to get a little Gronk-centric, and he will force balls to Gronk that he doesn't force to anyone else, in part because of what you say. There are two defenders and there are no defenders, because you just throw it up high and wide, and he goes up and snatches it, and you just can't control the beast. But sometimes they're more dangerous to me, as they were in the second half against Jacksonville, when he spreads it, because when he starts spreading it and starts flipping it to the two backs coming out of the backfield, it gets crazy hard to defend all their little parts. None of them Gronk parts, but just it becomes more spread out and harder to defend. Where two guys are going to be on Gronk every play. Is that, I mean?
No, there's no question. And I think they do that when they're playing from a lead or the game is within 3 points or so. When you see him get a little nuts with the ball with Gronk is when they're playing catch-up. And that's when he really shines and makes these great throws and great plays. But also, that's when, you know, that blemish comes up where he'll make a throw. Tom, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know,
Yep, I agree.
And he's trying to make it happen with Gronk, and you can understand that to some extent. But that's why I say, if this game's in the balance within 3 points going into the, you know, they'll take it over. They'll take that game over early in the fourth quarter.
Well,
I think, though,
if they do take it over, it's going to be the first time they took a Super Bowl over in their run, because they don't take any Super Bowl over.
Well, you know, it's interesting, too, that you said that because, you know, when we played them the first time, they didn't have 100 yards going into the fourth quarter. They were anemic. They couldn't do anything. Well, and then, you know, we turned the ball over, and they got points off that, obviously. But when they had to do it at the end, they got it done.
Well, I think the thing is, you say, Skip, you say he forces the ball to Gronk. Gronk is 6'7", 280.
I know.
You're not forcing the ball to a 5'8",
Right.
190-pound receiver.
Heck no.
Gronk has such a large catch radius.
On the concussion play, that's a forced throw because it's into double coverage, and you're setting him up to get bashed, which he did, right?
When you have a guy running man-to-man with him, you're going to throw him the ball.
Right.
I don't care who it is. You're going to throw him the ball.
Absolutely.
He could be climbing. It doesn't make any difference. When they have that guy on top coming down to safety, that's when you have to be careful because that's when the ball gets deflected, picked, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you got to play him.
Yes.
You have to have somebody over the top all the time coming down on top of him. And if the other guys are going to beat you, they're going to beat you.
Right.
So do you think that having Gronk will open up a run game that was not it completely disappeared against Jacksonville? They had 28 yards rushing until the final real play of the game when Deion Lewis got loose wide to kill the clock with an 18-yard run. So they had 46 rush yards and managed to overcome a 10-point deficit and beat Jacksonville.
If they get Gronk involved early in this game, in the passing game, If he catches a few balls in that first quarter and makes a difference on some big plays, then all of a sudden you'll see that running game come charging through. Because what happens again is those guys responsible in coverage, as you know, they're also the primary run force support guys.
Support guys.
So now you're a guy and a half less up at the line of scrimmage. They're worried about his releases, et cetera. And the coverages now are different. They're not run support type fronts and coverages. Now you're playing coverage instead of run support and how you call the defense. And that's where they start making some money in the running game.
Okay. Now, to the other quarterback, Nick Foles. If you look at his 3 playoff games, extraordinary, high-level play, 75% completion, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions in the playoffs, 3 playoff games. Torched the #1 defense in the Minnesota Vikings, albeit in Philadelphia. How do you expect him to respond to this pressure on this stage? Can he keep this sort of flow up?
Oh, I don't think there's any question. He just has to be good for one more game.
Right.
He doesn't have to have a career off of this. He's just got to be really good in this game. And he's got a 122 rating in the playoffs. There's no reason to think that he won't continue that, and they are going to change how they're doing things with him. And that's the big issue. Philly cannot get in there and all of a sudden start drawing back their horns a little bit and play not to lose this thing, you know. And so many teams do that. They've got to put the pedal to the metal and just go. You can't play keep away from Tom Brady because eventually he's going to get the ball back and beat you. You've got to just go, buddy. You just got to go. And then if you're ahead in the last 2 minutes, hopefully you can take a knee and ground the clock because if you give him 30 seconds left, he's still going to get it done.
Pull something off. But Nick Foles against a defense that you have big questions about, as do I. Again, it started coming together after 4 calamity games to start the year, and in what is it? Points scored, they're 5th, and points allowed. So, do you think that they could do? They scored 38 on Minnesota. Could they put up 30 on this defense?
Sure, they can. Yeah. But here's the issue, though. Every Super Bowl that I watched them play, including ours, when they went into that Super Bowl, they were totally different on defense than they were the rest of the year. So there's going to
scheme-wise?
Yes, they're going to have some different coverage, some different tweaks to it that Philadelphia is not prepared to see. They haven't practiced against. And so it really comes down to not Foles, but how well as a staff they organize and come back and attack that and change and can counter that. If you can't counter that, if you're just going to keep going with that game plan, you're going to lose that game.
That's interesting.
So that's why you come into a game like this, all games really, but particularly this game, with all your weapons. You have to have stuff. They were never a cover 2-man team.
Right.
They opened up the Super Bowl and that's all they played, 2-man. So, they're going to do those kinds of things. They're not going to they're not going to put a target and say, okay, here we are. Right. They're going to be all over the place. You have to understand that going in, and you have to stay ahead of them if you can.
Right. And they'll stay, because a lot of time, Mike, you watch so much tape, and teams in the regular season, they're going to be who they are. Now, they will give you 1 or 2 defenses that you haven't seen, and you say, look, Kurt, they're going to give us something we haven't seen. But if they hit you in the back, just hold on to the ball. Just get us back to Marshall, get us back to the line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10, don't make it 2nd and 15. But Coach Belichick probably is going to come in this game, and he'll play 35 to 40 snaps of a front that you haven't practiced or you don't expect them to see.
That's exactly right.
I expect them to play a lot of 22-man because they don't expect Nick Foles to go anywhere, and that's why they played you 22-man. That's a coverage you would never play against Aaron Rodgers. You would never play 22-man against Cam Newton because if he gets through the line, he's running behind you while your defense has got their back to him.
Right.
So I expect them to play a lot of whatever you think what you thought they were. They'll play different because I don't expect Nick Foles to run. So I expect to see a lot of 2.
I think you're right. And here's the other element. A Patriot team just doesn't make mistakes, especially in big games.
Yes.
They don't turn it over. They don't jump off sides. They don't do dumb things.
They don't.
They're not nervous. They're not edgy. They don't do stupid things. And that's a factor you have to take into consideration.
Yes.
The other thing is Belichick pays attention to things that other head coaches like myself never even thought of. Before our Super Bowl, he told his DBs, he says, look, this is a Super Bowl. They're not going to call a lot of penalties. So we're going to play 2-man. You grab onto those receivers and do what you got to do. And if they start calling a lot of penalties, then we'll back off it. Well, they never called the penalties. And I'm not complaining about it. I thought it was brilliant in what he did, but I never thought about that.
Right.
I would never think about something like that. And that's why he's Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
So, last point that scares me the most of all. When Tom Brady has lost big postseason games, it's simply been because somebody could blow up his pocket and move him off his spot. And then some other bodies could come wide and blast him and knock him around a little bit and get him a little out of sync and out of sorts. This defense with this wide nine that Jim Schwartz plays has the firepower and the capability of Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. And a host of others. Chris
you got
Long
Jernigan,
coming off,
you got Long.
Yeah, they have studs, man, across the front. They have the horses to move his spot.
They do, and the angle that they're coming off, the Patriots haven't seen this before. It's going to be new for them. We saw it, and we used to play them a lot, and it's a nightmare to prepare for in the protections. It's really hard, and you've got to get other people up there to chip or help, and otherwise the tackles just aren't used to seeing this. And it's a very difficult defense to protect. And I think this is exactly an advantage that we were talking about earlier for the Eagles. That's why I felt originally the Eagles are probably going to win this thing.
Right.
But I think Gronk is just an overbearing thing.
They're getting that wide nine and they angle themselves in, so they're already forcing you to kick. And a lot of times they'll wipe you away. If you watch Chris Long on that strip sack, the guy was there, but he just wiped his arm and he got skinny and got around him. Now you can run against the wide nine. But the thing that the Eagles have done well is that they've gotten ahead and they get you out of the running scheme. So they make you throw it when they want you to throw it. So it's going to be a very interesting matchup. But Coach Belichick, I don't know if you saw that 30 for 30, and Skip and I talked about it. But like you said, he will come out there. They're a 3-4 defense, and they play the Bears in the divisional round, and they go 4 down linemen and 2 linebackers. You're like, hell, they're a 3-4 team. Why they got 6 men on the line of scrimmage?
That's a shocking change to make.
How about this, though? We're playing them in 0-1. They're 5-4. And nobody's talking about them winning anything. In fact, they're complaining about them. We go up there in Foxborough on Sunday night, and we ended up beating them up there.
Right.
And I said after the game, I thought, we just beat a Super Bowl team. Everybody laughed about it. Well, we ended up seeing them in the Super Bowl. But the point is, we came out in double tights and 1 wide receiver and 2 backs. He came out with 4 down and all DBs. We don't know why. Who's this guy? Who's 23? Who's 21? Who's this? I mean, we end up adjusting to it, but that's what he's going to do. He's going to, from the very first play, he's going to say, "Oh, what's going on out there? Say, get that picture over here. Take a look at what's going on." He's going to shake it up pretty good.
Bill Belichick, that scoundrel.
No mercy.
Let's move on to Tom Brady. No quarterback has been to more Super Bowls or won more than Brady. He also has 4 fourth-quarter comeback wins in the playoffs when trailing by double digits. No other quarterback in NFL history has done that more than once. So, Skip, you've said that Brady is the most clutch athlete ever. Ever.
Yes.
So make your case.
Look, I understand how this rubs people the wrong way, starting with my partner across the table, because Tom Brady isn't athletic looking enough to qualify for this. And we saw episode 4 of Tom versus Time, and he comes across as so sweet and so soft and so unmanly and so unmacho. So it's like he doesn't fit the mold of the stud franchise late game clutch quarterback. And obviously this leads me to my all-time favorite player, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. You will not find a bigger Jordan fan than I am. But the reason Michael doesn't qualify for this is Michael was too good, too great for his own good. Too dominant for his own good when it comes to this argument, because Michael obviously won 6 NBA championships.
No, don't be trying to do. No, you got to make your case for Tom. Don't just try to discredit Michael. Make your case for Tom. You don't worry about what I got over here, what I got brewing in this. You see what I'm doing, Joy?
What, Joy? Whose turn is it to talk? How many times do you say, let me talk? So this is my turn because it's my argument and it's my guy, and you have no chance to win it anyway, so I might as well talk the whole segment.
Okay.
So back to what I'm saying about Michael Jordan. 6 championships, no Game 7s. He was just too great. Yeah. And I was there for his one greatest moment clutch shot in Utah, which was at the end of Game 6 with 5.2 seconds left. And it's the only piece of memorabilia I ever purchased because it's a picture of Michael holding the pose from around the free throw line. The ball is swishing through the nets, and you can see the looks of horror on all the Utah Jazz fans behind the basket. Hangs in my house proudly right now. But the problem after that is, you look at all of Michael's other moments, Craig Elo? I mean, that was back in 1989. That was the deciding 5th game of a 5-game series. Okay.
Got it.
Okay, that's fine. Then they went on to lose to the Pistons in 6 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. Michael did hit the last shot in the NCAA championship game. With,
got it.
15 seconds left on that one as a freshman against Georgetown, obviously. We got the flu game. We got the first half against Portland. That was in game 1 when he hit the 6 threes. And the up and under shot against the Lakers.
Buzzer beater against the Suns,
2.
but that's neither here nor there. But
Neither
go ahead.
here nor there. Now, that brings me to the man in question here. Tom Brady. Think about this. 5 Super Bowl championships, 5 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter in those 5 games. That is preposterously, outrageously, case closed great. Joe Montana had 5 game-winning drives in his whole playoff career, and Tom has them in his 5 Super Bowl championships. And in the first Eli Super Bowl, Tom Brady took the team 80 yards in 12 plays with 2:42 to go, a 6-yard touchdown pass to Randy Moss to put them ahead 14-10. And that looked like that was going to be the game-winning drive until David Tyree happened. So it could have been 6 of those, which is even more preposterous. And as we talked about before, the Patriots have won their 5 Super Bowls by an average of 3.7
That's it.
points.
With the greatest player ever? That's all you got?
Because he pulls it out of the fire again
Why?
and again and again. All the other Super Bowls, as you point out, were won by a margin of victory of 16 on average.
Why he's so great, Skip? Why he got to do that?
Well, that's not the point.
Yes, it is.
Well,
Michael's so great, we don't need a game 7.
Okay.
I ain't going to let you get there.
So I've turned you into a Jordan fan.
Don't do
for the
that,
first
Skip.
time ever.
No.
I thought you were a LeBron fan.
Skip, this is not about LeBron.
So let's get this straight. On the biggest stage in American sports, right?
Yes.
Would you say the Super Bowl is bigger than Game 7 of the NBA Finals? I think it is.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Playing the hardest position there is to play in all of sports, and it ain't even close. Quarterback. Under fire, under pressure, under the greatest pressure in American sports. He was down 10 to the Legion of Boom in the fourth quarter and pulled that off. He was down 16 last year in the fourth quarter at Atlanta and pulled that off. And I'll just throw this in for a little icing on the cake. He's down 10 to Saxonville in the recent AFC Championship game, albeit in Foxborough, but that was without Gronk. Last year, Gronk and Edelman. Last year without Gronk in the Super Bowl. He just keeps doing this, and let's even look at the field goal drives to win the first 2 Super Bowls.
What you mean field goal drives?
Drives to win the game.
What we need them?
Okay? So think about this. He drove New England against the Rams as a first-year starter in the Super Bowl. He drove them from their 17 all the way to the Rams' 30-yard line. That's a long drive with passes of 5, 8, 11, 23, and 6. This is under huge pressure, and you've never even done it before.
If you don't mind me asking, can you tell the people, fans at home, in his first playoff runs, how many touchdowns did he throw that playoff series? 3 games. How many touchdowns did he throw?
How many completions do you have in that field goal winning drive in the Super Bowl?
Joy, in 3 playoff games that year, Tom Brady threw 1 touchdown.
You know, that seems like the pettiest point you've ever made in the history of this show.
If you keep talking, I'm not going to even get to make a point.
So then against Carolina, field goal winning drive, they start at their
Why
40.
they
They go all the way to the 23. Listen to these completions. 13, 13, and 17 to set up another Vinatieri walk-off.
I will take Michael Jordan. I will take Michael Jordan because I've seen Tom Brady lose 2 Super Bowls to inferior quarterback talent. Was he not better than Eli in both situations? Is he a better player than Eli?
Pretty good.
Can you name the playoff game that Michael Jordan lost to inferior talent? Now, I've seen Tom Brady.
Wait a second. Didn't 1 year ago at the Super Bowl in Houston, Eli Manning sit right at our debate desk and readily acknowledge that was the luckiest play in Super Bowl history that beat Tom Brady in the first game?
I've been trying to get the guy to come on here to sit right there in that chair and say that was the luckiest shot I ever made to beat Michael Jordan in the NBA Finals. I have yet to find him, but that's neither here nor there, Skip Bayless. Can I make my
6-0?
Let me talk.
Which is why LeBron doesn't belong in the same breath with Michael Jordan.
I'm not going to stop it, Skip.
Huh?
I'm not going to let you do this. This is not about LeBron James.
LeBron's your guy. You don't like Michael.
LeBron,
you can't have him
I'm
now.
talking about LeBron on Monday. But today is Michael Jeffrey Air Jordan.
Yeah.
Now, this is what we know. At home, Tom Brady has lost twice to Joe Flacco. Should Joe Flacco be mentioned? He also lost to Mr. Butt Fumble, the guy that's known for perpetuity, permanence. As long as they have video, the butt fumble will be the play that he will be known as. He also lost to Jake Plummer. So can you tell me the time that Michael Jeffrey Jordan has lost a playoff series, a playoff game, finals game to an inferior talent?
You're making my all-time case. I say Michael Jordan is the most dominant athlete in sports history.
And greatest.
And it's not even close.
And greatest.
We're talking about clutchness.
But
what happened in the fourth quarter? Well, Michael didn't have opportunities late in games
Why?
because there was no Game 7. He was too good for his own good.
Exactly. So if Tom Brady's that guy, why did we do that clutch, Skip?
Shannon,
did you remember the flu game?
Wait a second. Do I remember? I was there.
You were there. So what did he do? Can you tell the people what he did at first? He laid the ball up, and then what did he need to do, Skip? He stole the ball from the mailman.
Okay, but that's not clutchness. That's not late game clutchness. I'm talking about with the pressure on the line. Do you know how every team is still looking, except for about 5 teams, for a quarterback who can remotely do what Tom Brady does every Super Bowl?
Okay.
Every Super Bowl.
Can I ask you, name everybody that plays offense don't get compared to Tom Brady. Name a guy that plays offense that go get 40, get 50, that's not compared to Michael Jordan.
Well, he's the greatest ever.
Yeah, and he's the greatest clutch. Skip,
clutch. This is clutch. Do you know how hard quarterback is? I'll tell you this. Quarterback is harder to play than Michael Jordan's 2-guard position is harder.
No,
yes.
because he that dude. He that dude.
Well, we knew
we
that
got
from
that
the start.
We got that expectation. Yeah. What did Tom Brady do?
Wait, are you trying to do a weave with Michael Jordan?
Whoa, Skip, I'm trying to. Why are you doing this to me, Skip?
Jumping bandwagon.
Why are you doing this? Can you tell me? I'm looking for the tape.
Shannon.
Tom Brady's freshman year, in which he threw that pass to who he threw the pass to that won the national championship his freshman year. Oh, it didn't happen. Michael Jordan hit a shot as a true freshman when he has the Wooden Award winner, the Naismith, big game James Worthy on his roster.
Yep.
He took the shot.
Greatest player ever in any sport.
I just want to know one thing.
Clutch player.
I'm trying to figure this out, Skip.
Shannon, wait, it's over. You lost the argument.
No.
5 Super Bowl victories with 5 fourth-quarter game-winning drives. How can you can't top that?
So is he 5 for 5 as far as MVPs?
He got robbed once.
Oh, now he got robbed.
Well, come on.
Then people just keep
Deion Branch? Are you kidding?
People just keep stealing from Tom Brady.
Deion Branch?
I'm just okay. Help me out here, Skip. You're a 12
that
point.
doesn't matter.
Skip.
We're talking about clutchness.
Okay,
game winning.
Okay, Skip. I'm trying to figure out here.
Money on the table.
You're a 12-point favorite. 12. You're 12. How do you not win that game? And you're a 12-point favorite.
You did what you were supposed to do. You went down to win the game. You did it. 80 yards in 12 plays.
You averaged 36
against that defense.
You averaged 36 in the regular season. And remember, against that very defense, you had just hung 38 on them. What? 3 weeks before. So I'm trying to figure.
Shannon, he pulled off another game-winning drive until Tyree happened.
How you get a game-winning drive if you lose the game? What game? He played for the Giants?
Wait, does Tom Brady play safety?
Oh!
If you told me he screwed up, wait, did Rodney Harrison not screw up that
I
play?
love it. See, you walk right into that trap. That's what I've been trying to tell you all along. You see what he did there? Just Tom Brady plays defense?
Shannon,
exactly.
You lost.
In those 4 fourth-quarter drives, how many points has the defense given up?
You can't fight
3. On the second play of the second play in Jacksonville game, they kicked the field goal. 3 points in fourth quarter in overtime. That's what the defense is giving up. So I'm just trying to tell me where Tom Brady, show me where Tom Brady sacked the quarterback, got a pick, batted a pass. Oh, that was him.
No.
He knocked that ball down.
You know what I will show you? I will show you that when Tom Brady did get the ball, he threw for 138 against a defense everybody had already acclaimed as the next defense. It has arrived. It's time to unseat and dethrone the Patriots in the AFC.
Glove.
And 138 went against that defense in the fourth quarter and 2 touchdowns. That's outrageously clutch.
Michael Jordan in his first finals in 5 games.
He's the greatest player ever.
Can I finish? You gonna let me make my point? Thank you, Skip. I surely really appreciate it.
You're just making all
4-1. They beat the Lakers. Michael Jordan averaged 31 points, 11 rebounds.
He's the greatest ever. Yep.
I'm just trying to figure out, Skip.
Was that a game?
You said clutch. You said the reason why LeBron can never be Jordan because he's 3-5 in finals. He's lost finals games. How can Tom Brady be more clutch than Jordan when Jordan has never know what it's like to have his head down?
He just didn't have any opportunities.
Hold up. Did I see on episode 1, Tom Brady go to his office and goes into his safe deposit box, and he pulls out a big old folder. He says 2007. Oh, that's disappointment. I can't get that one. Let me go find another one. I saw Michael Jordan do the exact same thing, went to his office. He pulled out a game tape. He's like, ooh, joy.
Well, this proves that LeBron James does not
No,
belong in the same conversation with Michael Jordan.
This is not about LeBron.
You just proved
No,
it. Thank
this is
you.
not about LeBron.
Thank you.
This is about
It's
Tom
over
Brady
for
and
LeBron.
Jordan.
It's over for LeBron.
I'm just trying to.
You're trying to tell me LeBron is the left face on Mount Rushmore? That's so wrong.
Tom Brady lost to Eli. The man that got benched for Geno Smith. That's who Tom Brady lost to in the Super Bowl. The man that got benched for Geno Smith.
No mercy.
We're joined now in Minneapolis by Super Bowl champion and 11-time Pro Bowler, Drew Brees. Welcome back to Undisputed.
How you guys doing?
Doing good, nice and warm in LA. You launched a youth flag football league called Football in America. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I'd love to. So over the last few years, I've really been giving a lot of thought to this. You know, as I've got three small boys of my own that are really getting into football and wanting to play flag football, and as you take a look around, there's really no uniform standard for flag football in this league, or in this country. So we've established what we feel like will be the gold standard for flag football, and it's called Football in America, or FNA. And basically what we feel like, basically what it is it's a co-ed flag football league for kids age kindergarten through 8th grade, children of all skill levels, with the idea that you know, so many parents out there are concerned with having their kids play tackle football, especially at an early age. And I think in many cases, there's parents that don't really know that there's an alternative out there, which flag football can be that alternative. I didn't play tackle football until my 9th grade year of high school. So up until that point, I played flag football, and I think those were some really formative years for me, and it really helped me transition into the tackle football game once I got to high school. But whether you transition to tackle football or not, what we've tried to create with our flag football leagues is a great, fun, family-friendly experience and environment. We have an online coaches platform and mentorship program to help teach young coaches. You know, in so many cases, there's parents that want to teach their coaches, and yet if they haven't had any exposure to football, you know, there's probably a level of intimidation that, you know, they feel like they wouldn't know how to coach their kids' flag football team. And yet what we've created with our online platform is sample playbooks, coaching drills, teaching them mechanics, and that kind of thing that they can then impart on their kids, and also a hotline where we can provide that support for our coaches. Also the fun, family-friendly experience. There's music playing on Friday nights, which is when we play our games. At times there's bouncy houses and food trucks and everything else. And what we're trying to create is that fun, family-friendly environment where it's really when communities come together on Friday nights to watch their kids play, but also to fellowship and that kind of thing. And we also have a charitable component built in to our leagues where we give a portion of the proceeds back into those communities to help with causes that are important to them.
So, Drew, speaking of your kids, I don't know if you followed Tom Brady's documentary, Tom versus Time. Episode 4 was released yesterday, and it was all about how difficult Tom finds it to juggle his obsession with preparing for football games with trying to spend enough quality time with his kids. So, to you, how difficult is it for you with your 4 kids?
You know, it is difficult because I do want to spend every possible second that I can with my kids. I also understand that the commitment that I've made to my team is to put myself and them in the best position to succeed on Sundays, right? And that involves a lot of time, effort, and energy during the season. So I think what I do, and this is something my wife and I do at the start of every season, is we kind of, you know, come up with that schedule and that plan for, hey, when is Dad going to be home, and what are we going to be doing to make sure that we maximize that family time together. And I think also it's something that the kids see and understand, and what I try to do is draw a positive from it as well, is that, hey, the kids know when Dad has to go to work, and the kids know the important job that Dad has to do, and they understand the commitment that he has to his team. And so that's something that hopefully will be instilled in them, that, hey, whatever they choose to do, whatever their passion is, that they give it their absolute best, that they give it 100%, that they remain fully committed to it. And so I think there's positive lessons that can come from that, but at the same time, it is a balancing act because there's only so many hours in the day.
Drew, you were 10 seconds away from going to the NFC Championship game. As you're standing on the sideline and that ball is completed, what's going through your mind, and what do you tell your young rookie safety how to overcome such adversity?
Yeah, listen, that was tough. I mean, that whole game was just a range of emotions. You know, we played terrible in the first half. We're down 17-0. You know, on the road at Minnesota, ruckus environment. And to overcome that, take the lead 24-23 with 25 seconds left, you know, I mean, you feel like your chances are pretty good of winning that game at that point, you know. And listen, just a simple mistake, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, they score and they win the game, and, you know, it becomes one of the craziest finishes in playoff history. But I look at the young safety, and first of all, there's not a guy that I love coming to work and and being with than Marcus Williams, our safety. And I think personally that he's going to be one of the best free safeties in this league, as we go along here. He is such an important part of our defense and of our team. And there's not a guy who works harder or who prepares better than him. And so I think you look at it one of two ways. Either you go in the tank or you use it as fuel to accomplish something great in the future. I know when that play comes around in the future, that guy's going to make a play that's going to allow us to win a big game or to win a championship. I fully believe that, and that's what I've tried to tell him as well.
So, Drew, back to Tom Brady. He says he has discovered a nutrition sort of system and a stretching system under this new trainer of his, Alex Guerrero, who he's been with for several years now, and that he can play maybe 4 or 5 more years. You're a year behind him at age 39. Are you interested in what Tom's figured out that he says he's holding off Father Time doing?
Listen, I believe it. 3 years ago, I made the statement that I felt like I could play till I'm 45. I still believe that, but it's just a matter of whether I want to, whether that's going to happen. Honestly, I think that what we know now in regards to how to take care of our bodies, so recovery, the maintenance aspect, how to train ourselves, diet, nutrition, sleep, just what the information that we have now, I think, certainly could allow us to be able to do that. Physiologically, it's possible. Obviously, Tom has his system, and it works. I know the system and the routine that I engage in every offseason, kind of the process that I go through. I've found something that works for me, and I feel like it allows me to feel great and to play at the highest level that I can. But I think you just take all the things that you feel like are within your control, and you do whatever you can to put yourself in the best position to succeed. And I think for me, though, it's the mindset that, there's no more important year than the year that's right in front of me. And so I can't sit here and project how long I'm going to play, other than I know that I'm going to stay in the moment, and there's no more important year or opportunity than the one that's right in front of me, and I'll worry about the future next year.
What do the Saints need to do to make sure they're playing in the 2019 Super Bowl in Atlanta?
Well, I think we took a lot of strides towards that this year. I felt like we had a great draft, a couple rookies that really stepped up and played big for us. Were highly productive. I felt like we made some great moves in free agency. Not only bringing in productive players, but guys that are great in the locker room, great leaders, and can be for us for a long time. I think we continue to build depth at certain positions and promote competition by going out and acquiring guys, whether that be through free agency in the draft. That's something obviously you do every year. You understand that the entire league retools every year and goes into the season feeling like it could be their year. But I would say we're poised to make a run. It's all about the mindset that you approach the offseason and then the season with. And I think if you think that you're just going to pick up where you left off, you're kidding yourself. You've got to earn it each and every year. You have to reestablish your identity each and every year. You have to approach the offseason with a great sense of urgency. It's a race to improve. It's a race to get better. It's a race to put yourself in a position to have an edge on everybody else. So as long as we maintain that mindset, I think we're going to be pretty good.
And just how special can Alvin Kamara be?
Listen, he's a stud. I mean, he obviously has all the physical tools. I think that he, there's some rare traits that he has, especially for a young player. Typically there's a maturity level that takes a little while to gain when you get in this league. I think that he was able to develop that very, very quickly. He's a highly intelligent guy who picks up, the elements of the offense very quickly. And we do a lot of things. We require a lot of guys. We require them to have to think and really know what they're doing. And since he was able to pick up things so quickly, we were able to put him and utilize him in a lot of different areas. And obviously that worked to his benefit. But he's a special player who, you feel like the sky's the limit for a guy like that.
No mercy. Our next guest has been in the NFL 7 seasons and made the Pro Bowl every year. He's got 21 career interceptions. Joining us live from the Super Bowl in Minneapolis, Patrick Peterson. Welcome to Undisputed.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
So, Patrick, you're working with the AT&T Audience Network at the Super Bowl this week. Tell us what you're doing with them.
I am the official media correspondent for AT&T Audience Sports. Kicked it off last night at the EA Sports Madden Bowl. did some interviews with some of the hottest stars, some of the A-list football players. Had Travis out there. We had AK, Alvin, Kareem Hunt. So we had a star-studded lineup. We went inside and watched this amazing game, what ended in 0-0, and AK ended up taking home the championship. Tomorrow we're going to end up going over to the DirecTV Super Saturday Party where J-Lo will be performing, and to take you guys backstage. Red carpet there as well. Be conducting some more interviews. You can follow Audience Sports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to see more hot clips.
Patrick, it's Skip. As you know, before your draft, I was a big fan of yours. You went 5th overall, and I said that was a steal. You have played 7 years in the National Football League, and you have made 7 Pro Bowls, and now you're at the Super Bowl, but you're not in the Super Bowl because you guys haven't been great in the postseason. You've made twice to the playoffs, won 1 out of 3 games, and I look at your career, and you need to, for your team and your success, to live up to your Pro Bowl success. So how frustrating is that to you that your team hasn't had great success?
It's very frustrating, not able to, be where we want to be as a team. But we're taking as a front office, I believe we're taking the right steps to get where we need to be. We've just been fighting that injury bug over the last couple of years. When we had the opportunity to play with our quarterback for an entire season, we was a pretty good football team, made it all the way to the NFC Championship, and I believe what really kept us back from winning that game by him, screwing up his ligament in his index finger, losing Tyron, 2 games before the playoffs. So the injury bug has definitely been killing us because the talent is not an issue with our football team. Because when we line up and have our full ammo, we're a very, very competitive football team.
Patrick, Shannon Sharp here. In 2018, you're going to have a new head coach. Carson Palmer's retired, so you're going to have a new starting quarterback. What do you guys need to do in order to make sure that next year you're in Atlanta in Super Bowl 53?
Honestly, we have to find a new identity for one, because like you said, we don't have a quarterback right now as we speak. We have a new head coach, but for the most part, we have a defense that we have a lot of pieces on defense that he can work with. His defense of reputation speaks for itself. So now we have under great leadership, I believe, under McCoy on the offensive side of the ball. All we have to do is now get a quarterback. Hopefully, we can get a big name win here in the free agency process. Kirk, Nick Foles, whoever it may be, draft one, have one grow under a vet. That'd be the ideal for us. But whatever happens, we definitely need to get a quarterback that can sling the rock and keep us in these football games.
So, Patrick, other than yourself, who is the best cornerback in pro football?
I'll probably have to say
Jalen Ramsey gonna be upset.
Him. Yeah, I was just about to say. It's a lot of guys that can be up there. Jalen had an awesome year this year. AJ Bouye had an awesome year this year. Xavier Rowe had another good year as well. So those 3 guys, those 4 guys, definitely up there. But I probably have to say Casey right now because 2 All-Pros in 2 years in a row. I mean, it speaks for itself. So I would probably say, Casey Hayward. So he's playing some good ball. He's a baller, and I love the way he attacks the game.
But do you still believe you are number 1 on that list?
No doubt about it. I mean, I've been the fewest target cornerback the last 3 years. Quarterbacks obviously stay away from me, so that I don't have opportunities to make plays. That's probably why I don't make All-Pro team because I don't show up on the stat sheet. So I believe if I had more opportunities to make plays, my play would definitely be spoken more about.
Patrick, you've been in Arizona for 7 years, and one of the teammates that's been there with you every step of the way is Larry Fitzgerald. How many more years do you think Larry will play, and can he continue to playing at the level that he's played since he's entered the league?
Shannon, Larry have not taken a step back since I've been there. I mean, it seemed like he's getting better and better as the year goes, as the years passes. I definitely see him coming back next year because he's playing too well. I mean, he's chasing history. Because I know he's looking at the numbers. Obviously, we know he probably will never catch Jerry, but I know that he want to get close as possible because he's just continuing to put up 100-yard years, 1,000-yard years, to continue to get voted into the Pro Bowl. He just continued to do remarkable things for the community, and it looked like he's getting younger versus older.
So, on to Sunday. Who wins this game and why?
Man, Skip, I had Philly winning it, but I just saw what Alshon just said. He just gave Patriots bulletin board material, so I'm going to switch my pick. I'm going to go with Brady.
He guaranteed the victory, Patrick.
Yeah, man, he just said the trophy is coming back to Philly, man. You cannot do that 2 games before the game. I feel that I understand that you have confidence. I understand that you have the belief in yourself, but keep that to yourself, and you can say that after the game, saying, I knew we was going to win it.
Tom Brady will love to hear that, right?
Man, that's when I saw it this morning. I told my friend, I was like, "Oh man, Philly just lost the Super Bowl." And I saw it this morning.
Well, Pat, you remember now? Plexico said the exact same thing before Super Bowl VII. He said they were going to win, and Tom Brady would not score more than 20 points.
I know it. I know it, man. That's what I'm saying. So he can't give Bill Belichick and Mr. Tom any bulletin board material because those guys just eat that up and just taking a run with it for sure.
So why were you leaning Philly before Alshon spoke?
Because, man, the Eagles been flying high flying. They've been flying very high. They've been soaring. Nick Foles, those guys haven't really missed a beat since Nick Foles got into the starting lineup. Obviously, the pace of the offense is slowing down a little bit. The selection of plays are different, but those guys, Doug is definitely still spreading the ball around to the guys he need to get the ball to. The running game is working well for him. They're hitting the down the field shots, and that's what you need to do to win. But you got that man on the other side of the football, and they just gave him bulletin board material. So he's going to pull a rabbit out of his hat somehow, some way. Just watch.
Well, Patrick, enjoy the Super Bowl weekend, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, and I am a huge fan of the show, man. You guys keep it going.
Thank you,
Patrick. We appreciate it very much.
No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. Keep an eye out for a special Super Bowl edition of the podcast tomorrow morning, previewing Sunday's clash between the Patriots and Eagles. Undisputed returns on Monday morning at the same time, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.